Hey folks, welcome to Market Intraday Analysis by InTheMoneyStocks.com, your leaders in pure technical analysis, avoiding all that Wall Street hype. Today, Friday, March 5th, 2010. Well, folks, we have a nice solid update on Wall Street. It's not a huge update, but it's a solid update based on the back of the jobs report we got this morning. Non-farm payrolls coming in at a loss of 39,000. That is below the estimates of about 75,000. And really, it was all about Larry Summers and the setup that he gave. He basically came out earlier in the week and said the non-farm payrolls number should be worse than expected based on the fact that you had snow out there, tons of snow in the Northeast. We all know about that snow. Even in the South, some of the northern South areas did get hit with that snowstorm or the couple snowstorms in February. And the kind of inkling behind what he was saying was kind of alluding to the fact that you would see those non-farm payrolls come in worse. Well, what that did was basically lowered expectations for the market, ultimately creating a situation where any non-farm payrolls number that was better than expected could come in and rally the markets. And that's what we're seeing today, folks. So you are seeing a little bit of a rally today. Dow was up about 85 points. Again, it's not a spectacular rally like we've sometimes seen in the past on jobs numbers, but it is a solid rally, up 85 on the Dow, NASDAQ up 28, and the S&P 500 up about 11.5, really 1% across the board. Dow is actually up only 0.8%, but the NASDAQ makes up for it, being up 1.25%, and the S&P again just up 1%. Now, you're hitting some key resistance. Notice this 113.95 to 114 level as the top on the market today. As you can clearly see, that is resistance. And so far, we've hit it 1, 2, 3 times, and each time we've pulled off of it. Now, what we want to watch into the afternoon session is to see if it gets through that level. If we can take that out to the upside at 113.95 to 114, you should head north to probably about 114.25 or so. 114.25 would be the next little intraday resistance level, and if you get through that, ultimately you could be headed towards the 115.15 level, which is the 52-week high on the SPY. So there's actually some really interesting stuff going on here today. Now, in essence, I was under the impression that this week or later this week we would see a downturn in the market. That hasn't necessarily come to fruition yet, but I do think that overall you are getting to that point where you're extremely extended in the markets, and you have to start looking for that overall, kind of starting to look at, see if you can start to come off this high. Is this the maybe pivot high that we're putting in at this point? And what you want to see is kind of how the afternoon shapes up. Do we sell off into the afternoon? Do we rally up a little more? And what happens on Monday and Tuesday of next week in regards to this market? Now, a couple things I am seeing here. Apple Computer's having a huge update, but it's actually selling off here a little bit. Nice little sell-off on Apple. Take a look at this chart on Apple Computer. Nice little dump here on Apple over the last 30 minutes or so after a pretty impressive move to the upside, but you're coming right into the moving average here that you have to be watchful of. That's the 20 moving average on the intraday chart, and that will be support. Here's a little bit of a fake print. The chart, actually, you do not have an actual print down here. It's just what we call a fake print on the chart. So again, keep in mind that overall a little weakness showing up in Apple, but you will have support here at the 20 moving average, and should it actually fall through that 20, then you could actually start to fall pretty drastically on the Apple chart. Goldman Sachs is another one having a solid day, up about $3.69. But notice here again, Goldman Sachs is coming off the highs of the day. So you are seeing a little bit of a weakening in the markets here over the last 30 minutes or so. A lot of the key stocks are showing up a little on the weaker side. In fact, interestingly enough, all day today, it's been a mixed bag. You've had some of the key stocks up quite a bit, and then you've had some of the key stocks flat to negative today, like Research in Motion. Research in Motion today down 41 cents. There's no sign of a rally in this stock, folks. None at all. In addition, Amazon.com flat on the day. No gains, no losses, essentially. The stock right now trading down 2 pennies on the day. So kind of interesting to note how you have some of the leaders doing nothing today, and then you have the Apples of the world up about $8 on the day. It kind of makes you wonder, again, what's the true reading of this market? Where are we seeing kind of the momentum coming from? And obviously it's Goldman Sachs, Apple Computer, and of course, ExxonMobil. ExxonMobil, again, coming off the highs, but look at that chart. Very nice gains. Now, again, if Exxon continues to sell here, you will see the market start to pick up on the sell side. Now, overall, you want to take a look at the dollar, folks, and the dollar is essentially flat today. So you're not getting any kind of push from the dollar. In fact, ultimately, in the early portions of the day, we started higher, and the dollar did fade, and that caused that little bit of an up move, at least the start of the up move. And then the rest of the positive data off non-farm payrolls really continued to push the market higher. All right, and again, as we see here recently, we're starting a little fade on the spiders. Let's go back to the SPY, and you can see that we are starting to fade just a tiny bit off the highs of the day. And again, that 113.95 continues to be in place as good, solid resistance. All right, so again, folks, that's what we're looking at right here. Baidu is another technology stock that is showing weakness, down $3.16 today. Kind of spectacular to see on a day where the markets are having a solid rally. 3 of maybe the top 10 technology stocks are seeing some weakness. In fact, you could look at Qualcomm. Qualcomm is down 44 cents. Oracle, we'll take a look at Oracle. Oracle's just up 16 cents. So again, you have to say to yourself, you have a good gain on the NASDAQ. Where is it all coming from? And the answer to that would be Texas Instruments is having a good day. Solid move on Texas Instruments. Intel is also having a good day. The semiconductors really are rallying today. And you can see the semiconductor index here, the SMH, having a solid move up. So that's part of where technology is getting its strength from. Also, Apple Computer. Google is up nicely here. Let's take a look at Google. Up about 11 points. Now, the key on Google here, guys, and to be honest, I'm going to make this call right here in this intraday free chat or intraday free video, that Google from this 565 level, 565 to 566 on Google, to me, is a shorting opportunity, all right? Now, why would I say that? Well, you have this resistance now anywhere in here, to be honest. From this 560, we'll call it 566, all the way up to about 573 is a major resistance area on Google, and I think you could go as high as 573. But overall, this is a major level to now start to look for a pullback on Google, and I do think it will come into play in the not-too-distant future. So watch Google's chart here, guys. Anywhere from 566 to 573, major resistance. You have the 50 moving average at the lower end, and then this pivot right in here from the upper end. And again, I do expect, even if we do trade as high as 573, that to be the top, and you should see a pretty solid pullback coming in to the overall Google trade over the next few, I would say next week to next 2 weeks, all the way back down, I think to 550 from this level at least to the downside. So watch that again, folks. We'll continue to follow it. Again, as I mentioned, Baidu is creeping to the downside. Some other stocks to watch. JP Morgan is having a very, very strong day, folks. JP Morgan here up 56 cents. So Google and JP Morgan showing some good signs of strength, although even JP Morgan is now rolling over a little bit. Now, the problem is, and this is kind of interesting, folks, this morning we had great volume in the market. I've talked a lot about volume to my premium members of the Research Center, and one thing about volume that's key is that when the volume disappears, it's very hard for the market to fall, and I've discussed this yesterday as well, how when you have light volume, the psychology of the market takes over, and there's generally a side to upswing in the market. And again, that's the problem now, is that you had great volume this morning, but it was an upswing based off the jobs number. Now the volume has died out, so it's not enabling the market to really dump out, at least for now. Now, if we were to get some good volume in this afternoon session, then that could change. Then we could see a little bit of a rollover in the markets. But again, there's not enough volume here that I'm seeing, at least, to really signal a good solid rollover in the market. So again, folks, we'll continue to follow that and see how things progress. And again, we'll see exactly what comes to the plate here in regards to the SPY and the rest of the market. All right. Cree, a couple other plays here. Cree is actually negative on the day. I think Cree, again, is on the borderline of a nice little opportunity to have some downticking in it. You can see, even with the rally today, a little bit on the weak side, and that, again, tells me that relative weakness is an issue in that stock, and you could be looking for a little downswing. But again, for the premium members out there, I'll continue to give you guys the exact updates of what to look for in that regard. All right, so again, I'll post some swing trades. I actually posted a swing trade today just a little while ago for those of you in the Research Center under Hot Charts and Alerts. For those of you, you can log in and see that as long as you have the Research Center subscription. All right, looking across the board, let's just do a couple checks on some other stocks out there. Oil, let's touch on oil. Might as well touch on oil here. Oil's having a decent day. You did hit my $40 resistance area on the USO. That went to $39.96 today, and since then you've pulled off pretty nicely again, hovering a little bit below that $40 level. There is good resistance at $40. If you get through $40, you're going to look for 40.50 and then 41 on the USO. On the GLD today, folks, again, GLD basically flat. Why would the GLD be flat? Well, essentially the dollar is flat. So if the dollar is flat, you generally anticipate that the gold trade will be on the flat side, especially when there's no fear in the markets like this. You just have no fear out there. So again, there's no reason to be in gold at this point. There's more value in going into more risky investments when there's fear. The fear in the market is dead. So again, just a little keynote on gold and what you're looking for here. On the intraday on gold, you can see you have the 200 moving average right down here as well. That would be a target for a possible bounce play on the GLD this afternoon if we hit it. You are making a small in spirit of bear flag here as well. So again, that's just a little note to watch. Keep an eye on Apple this afternoon, guys. Keep an eye on Goldman. Keep an eye on Google. These are all key players in the market along with JP Morgan. If they start to roll any more than they are, you should see this market come in, and I do expect volume to come in at that point. If they don't roll and they stay sideways, the volume should stay sideways as well and very, very light, and you will see this market just trend sideways, possibly even up a little bit more into the close. Take care, folks. We will talk to you later or tomorrow. Take care.